So we use the isSet function, and we say if isSet $_post, the first one to check is text. Then we use a logical operator and say if isSet $_post and search for. Remember, we're just referencing the variables from here. And we use another and logical operator to now search or check, sorry, if the replace with is set. Okay, so now we need to check whether users have actually typed any data in. This line here will check, or this statement in here will check whether the form has been submitted. If that evaluates to true, we can start to check if the data is empty or not. So before we do that, actually, we can actually create a shorthand way of using these variables, and this must be done inside this if statement, because if we try to create a variable first and these can't actually be found, we're going to end up getting an undefined index error. So text equals $_post text. If you're unfamiliar with this terminology here, if you go back and look at the post and get tutorials, you'll understand what we're actually doing here. We're taking data from the form and putting it into this these variables here. And then we want search equals $_post search for. Oh, no, it hasn't got an underscore in there. And then we want replace equals $_post, and that is replace with. So let's just echo these variables out to make sure that they that everything's working up until now. These will be with no spaces in between, so if I just put 1 in there, 2 in there and 3 in there, that's a really good way to check, because if we click find and replace, we can see that 1, 2 and 3 have both been submitted through. We've checked for the form submission. If we click it and the form hasn't submitted, nothing happens, but if we do, we return this data. So let's get rid of that, that and that. Now what we can do is check whether they have actually typed anything in. So if not, using the exclamation mark, empty text, and not empty search, and we use the last and not empty replace, then do something. Otherwise, we want to say please fill in all fields. So let's just type something here to check that this check is working. I'm just going to type OK with capital letters. Let's return to our index page and type 1 in here and 2 in here, but not 3 in here, and let's see what happens. So you can see now we've got this error message that we've predefined. Let's fill in 1, 2 again and 3 again, and we'll see what happens here. And we'll return with OK. So we know at this stage that our form validation is working. So inside here we can write the code that is actually going to process and return this. So let's create a bit of space in here for ourselves. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to predefine a variable up here called offset. And this is important with the substring function, because once we find an instance of a word inside our string, the offset is where we're going to search from once we've found one. For example, we may have the cat sat on the cat. If we want to search for cat and replace it with, say, dog or monkey, as I used in my last example, it's gonna find cat here, and it's gonna make the replacement. Then it's gonna need to start from after this and also replace the last instance of it. And our while loop is gonna help us ensure that we only loop through this string until no more values have been found that have been specified here. So that's what's going to happen. Now let's do it. So let's create our while loop. Remember, a while loop always performs this check going into the loop, as opposed to a do while loop, which will search for the condition at the end of the loop. So we need to say while substring, I'm just calling this, giving this my variable name substring, while substring equals substring. So now we're making use of the function inside this while loop. Substring will return 0 if it can't find anything. Therefore, this will evaluate to false. So we need to search inside text, and we are in fact, I've completely messed this up because we're not actually using the substring function. I got a bit confused. So we're using the strpos function. Obviously the strpos function is going to return us the offset or the location of a specific string, where it is. So strpos equals the function strpos. We're searching in text, we're searching for this search value, and we're going to specify the offset here. Now, because the offset originally starts at 0, we're searching from the start of this text variable, which equates to this text here. What we're then doing is searching for what we've specified in the form here, and then when it reaches, let's say we were searching for cat inside the cat sat on the mat, when it reaches the word cat and finds it, this strpos variable here will be equal to the location. Then what we can do with the location is we can say, well, I want this plus the amount of characters in our search term. Let me just give you an example up here so we know what we're doing.